Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Sunday morning. Yep. See, Zach just showed up to go hunting. Claude, I talked with him yesterday, and he said he's put his gun away. He's given up. And my son, he got a 3 point, so he's sleeping in this morning. So I told Zach, I said, you go find a place, and I'll do a push to you. So that's what he's doing. He's going to go sit somewhere. So I thought today we'd talk about being thankful. Sometimes we lose sight of what we have until we lose it, if that makes any sense. And I know most of you guys that listen to the channel have been where I've been before or where I've lost everything. But one thing has always been true is I could always find something to be thankful for, even as bad as things looked. I think the more stuff that you have, the more you're worrying about losing it, if that makes any sense. If you don't have anything, I mean, you don't have anything. But when you start accumulating wealth and material things and so forth, then you start worrying more about losing it than trying to actually gain it. And that's part of the journey, that we have. And I talk about that a lot, that if you want everything out of life and you set goals to achieve those things that you want in life, if you're not enjoying the journey to get to those points, then you feel like, let down to a certain extent, if that makes any sense. Because what happens is some of us are so hyperdrive that we're just so concerned about getting from point A to point B to point C that we don't realize how great the journey was, the people that we met along the way, and the things that we acquired. Now, if you're kind of down and hard on your luck, there's hope. There's always hope, and there's always things to find to be thankful for. And I always start with my health. If you're not healthy, a lot of stuff that you have you can't use anyways. So why have it, right? But some people focus too much on stuff. The good Lord, you can't take material things with you. I'm not saying to max out the credit cards and drain the bank accounts and have a great old time, not even close, but if you penny pinch all your life and you don't go and do things that all you've done for the past 10, 15 years is dreaming of doing it, and then when you get up to the age of where you can do it, when you retire and you financially can pay to have it done, a lot of times physically you can't do it. I've seen that a lot, that I try to tell people to live with no regrets. And that should be your mantra, that live with no regrets. I value my relationships with other people more than the material stuff that I have. And I always have, because I understand that the material stuff can come and go. Whereas a friendship can last a lifetime. That makes sense? See, a lot of people, when they set goals and they want to accomplish things, it's all about money. That's the end result, is I want to make more money. And it's not a bad thing, per se. But I think you're missing a lot of it because along the way, a lot of people that focus just on money tend to ruin a lot of relationships. And that's with their partners, significant others, kids, grandkids. Oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. You're always making excuses of why you can't do it because you're working. See, growing up, and that's where it affects people the most, I think, is when you're a child. And my father, even though he had good intentions, he would always say, as far as like going up to, we had a family camp that was on Union Falls, still is, at the base of Whiteface Mountain. And you could go up there and fish, swim, enjoy yourself. And the only way you could get there was by boat. Now you can drive to it, but back then you had to go by boat. Okay, and it wasn't that far across. It was like 200, 300 yards by boat, and it was on a pointed island. I remember I loved that growing up. It was my grandparents' camp. They had one there. That was their hunting camp. And then they had two on what they called Silver Lake, which is just a little ways away. And those were the summer camps that the family had enjoyed for water skiing and stuff like that because the lake was a lot deeper. Union Falls is a man-made, so they end up limiting that to like a 9-8 horsepower outboard because you have the deadheads, the stumps, that float up and down from where they had clear cut it and then put in a dam and let the water come up. I mean, this was a long, long time ago, way before my time. But you still had the deadheads, and a lot of times they'd be just below the water. And I can remember as a kid, we'd take Clorox bottles up with us, and if my dad saw a deadhead, he would have us attach a Clorox bottle so that it started looking like, bobbers everywhere out there that watch out for this stump that it can come up and get you. But I look forward to the weekends, of being able to go up to camp and go fish. I mean, that's what I live for. And my father would say all week, yes, just, let me get things done and we'll go to camp. We'll go to camp. So I get all excited. Come Friday, have my stuff together, and my dad would say, well, we're going to go tomorrow. So a little disheartened, but tomorrow comes and something came up, so we're going to go do something else. The one thing that taught me as a child that I used as a parent in adulthood was I would never promise my kids anything that I couldn't deliver on. Now, don't get me wrong, you have some unforeseen crap come up, on occasion. But it's got to be pretty extreme, and you don't want to end up making a lot of excuses to kids. If you can't do it, or you're unwilling to do it, or you're not sure you can do it, don't say you're doing it. Not to a child. But this brings me back to, personal assets. And when I became disabled in a mining accident, and they put me on disability, pretty much lost everything. Even my truck, because I couldn't afford the insurance company with playing games where they hold two checks back, and then you miss a payment and your credit report, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I can remember sitting there, in my living room by myself with my dog, You're trying to decide what next, you know. And I was kind of feeling sorry for myself because I was looking around and, I had lost a number of material things. I had to sell some material things just to keep paying, keep going. Because physically, I was disabled. I couldn't do. It wasn't that I wasn't willing to work. It's because I couldn't lift weights. I couldn't physically take on tasks. But I think it was like this light come on. And it said, you know what, Eric? You have everything to be thankful for. Of course, I'm like, oh yeah. Be thankful that that mining accident didn't kill you. And then you wouldn't be here. And you wouldn't be here for your kids and your grandkids. Yeah, that's right. Be thankful that even the health issues that you have, you're still able to, do things for yourself. And that's about the time that I started, every night and every morning. At night, I would tell God I was thankful for another day of being able to enjoy it. No matter how bad it was, I still thank God for a good day. And in the morning, it was a silent thank you for allowing me to put my feet on this earth for one more day. So sometimes when you get to a point where you feel like you're overwhelmed and things are bothering you, it kind of goes back to my grandfather. He always told me, he said, if you think you have it bad off, just take a good look around and you will find people that are far worse off than you that are still trying and succeeding. It's all about you. You're the pivotal player in all of it. If you're looking for somebody else to do it for you, you might have a long wait, okay? And then if somebody else does that for you, are you learning anything out of it? Does that make any sense? If you go through life and you have other people paving the way and paying your way and doing things for you all the time, then what have you learned? What's going to happen when you really have to rely on you to follow through and do stuff? Most of us would call that adulthood, But I've seen some adults, and I was, in my 30s, when that happened, that I deemed myself an adult, but I was kind of looking for other people to step up and do stuff for me. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have people help you out, because that's not what I'm saying. Because I would help anybody out if I could, to a certain point, If I deem it a learning lesson, where this person needs to learn something from it, or if by me doing it, it's causing that person to be less reliant on themselves to do it, if they physically and mentally can do it, and they're unwilling, with you doing it for them, you're not accomplishing anything in a positive way for them, right? But that brings me back to being thankful. We just got through one holiday of Thanksgiving, and we're coming up on Christmas. And I know a lot of people this time of year, become overwhelmed because they're so busy trying to concentrate on getting the right gift for this person and that person. And I can remember, growing up, when we first had, when all of us kids, my sisters basically, we all had kids. And when it came Christmas, everybody was trying to buy for everybody, for nieces, nephews, and so forth. And it just was way too expensive. And what we ended up doing was getting together and saying, look, don't buy for my kids. You want to send them a card or this, that's fine. But save your money for your kids, and I'll save my money for my kids, and so forth, and but we get so wrapped up in material things of wanting the great gift, that someone is going to truly appreciate. And I had talked about it, a while back on one of my videos, that I can remember the 1 year that I worked at the mines, and they gave us a bonus because the company had turned out really well that year, so it was like $1,200. And my wife and I vowed we would have the best Christmas for our kids, because up until that point it was kind of struggling. So with glee in our eyes, we went out and we bought all this crap, all these toys, because we wanted this to be the Christmas that makes up for all the prior Christmases. So Christmas morning, we were up late that night getting everything underneath the tree, and my whole living room was just full of presents for 2 kids. So we're sitting there at the kitchen table having coffee after the kids had opened their gifts and stuff, and they're having a blast, and we can hear them laughing and enjoying. And we both look at each other and like, what gift are they having so much fun with? So we snuck around the corner to take a look, and here all the presents were tossed back towards the tree. And what they had done, they had taken the boxes and made like forts and stuff like that. And they were having a blast with just the boxes and not all the toys. That should tell you a lot as a parent, that a lot of times it's not getting the most perfect gift. And I know that it's hard. I mean, it's been hard since these businesses and TV and now internet, pushing your kids saying you got to have this or that, or you're not going to be complete, or it's all bullshit. Don't even listen to it. Because it comes back to the point of, I've seen parents, even when kids get into their teens, 20s, and 30s, that are still giving them money to bail them out of something. Not jail per se, but they're late on a truck payment or this or that. And nobody was there when I was having those issues. And I learned I could survive and start again. And that was a valuable lesson for me to learn. Whereas we adults, if we're not letting our kids learn and how to cope with certain situations, that they're going to repeat it again, right? But as Christmas comes up, I want people to start being thankful for what they have, instead of complaining about what they don't have. And you can simply start with just your health. and being alive to enjoy one more day. That's the bare bones of it right there. I never tell God that I'm thankful for a truck or cash or garbage, because those are material things. Those things come and go. Relationships are here for a lifetime if you choose to have them. But people can tell when you're a bullshitter or when you're genuinely interested in what's going on with them. And a lot of times, friends like that, they're not looking for you to fix anything per se. They just they want a sounding person per se. And a lot of times I've had people, and I've done it myself, where I've answered my own question of how to simply by talking about it out loud with someone else, and other than internally with myself. If someone's trying to sound something off for me, I let them know that I heard them and that the issue is. And I try to hold back on giving suggestions or advice. I want them to spend a little bit of time trying to figure out, what got themselves into this and how to get out. And that was like with my kids, because I knew that someday I'm not going to be here on this earth and they're going to have to figure this out. And if I don't allow them to fail and then learn from that failure, they'll continue doing it because somebody's bailing them out. So hopefully this year, for Christmas, you can find time, for family. If you know of, somebody that's living alone, a widower or something like that, either invite them to dinner or take a hot plate to them. If you can help out at the local church, that hand out dinners, or even your local food pantry, by donating to that so that they can stock the shelves. Up in this neck of the woods, most of the people, that come into that category, for the food pantries and the meals, are most of the time elderly. Because I'll be honest with you, low-income families, most times they have food stamps and they have vouchers and they have pays the heat, the rent, and everything else. A lot of your retirees, we have a fellow just up the road here, and he lives on just his Social Security, and that's $680 a month. So for him, he goes down and he's not willing to accept someone giving it to him. But if he's allowed to go down and work at the food pantry, helping sort and box and this and that, then he feels okay with taking a box home himself. Because I remember one year I took the time and I filled out an application for him, for HEAP, which is, covers your fuel bill, or a good section of it. And he also qualified for food stamps based on his income. The first thing, after he had had these for a few months, was he started complaining that they were giving him too much food stamps. And we were trying to convince him to buy dry goods. spaghetti, pastas, all that stuff, rice, and seal it. They'll keep indefinitely. And he'd always got a load of logs up until just a few years ago, and the only heat he basically had was a wood stove in his house. So he got a furnace in there. But he was so used to being independent that he still continued with the wood, so he didn't need that much in heat, but he had money left over. Instead of allowing what I explained to him, I said, if you want to keep the wood stove going during the day, that's fine. But instead of getting up all hours of the night to keep feeding it, because he had just this like round stove in the middle of his living room, and he closed the upstairs off, so he slept on the couch downstairs. But I said, instead of getting up all hours of the night, to feed that stove, why don't you just set the thermostat at 70 or 72, and when the stove goes down, your furnace will pick up, and you'll stay toasty warm, and you'll use up the fuel that he pays for. But a lot of those folks are old school, that they don't take handouts. They make their own way. They figure it out. So on that note, you guys enjoy today. It's Sunday. And just give us some thought, about what to be thankful for. It's not that hard.